Hi folks, just want to share with you a brief summary of the in-class instruction that took place during this week, the week of September 20th and 21st. It's going to be about a 10-minute review on just what the essential points of what we talked about. In American history, we moved into the essential concepts that we will use in terms of studying American history. And remember, I shared with you a class organizer. I'm going to put that up on the screen right now. And as you go through the slideshow, as you're sitting at home and going through the slideshow, I need you to identify the slide, and these are in connection to each slide. You've got the key concept, a series of short stories that create a tapestry. In here, there's usually a guiding question. If you can respond to or understand the guiding question after you have seen the slide, that means you're on track. That means that you are getting what you should be getting out of each slide. And if you fill this in as we go along, and again, it goes through every video. Here we see going to see two music videos, and compare the two videos. What story does the two videos tell you? We've got a video on a map. What kind of information can you get from the map? And then I go through some key terms: analysis, perceptual lens, interpretation, synthesis. These are key concepts that the slideshow will explain to you. So I'm going to go through the slideshow, and as I do that, you should be connecting the slide to the actual organizer. So the term synthesis. Question: what role does synthesis play in reaching conclusions? I'm going to explain that to you. So you should jot down the key information. If that satisfies you that you have an understanding of synthesis, then you're in the right track. If you struggle with that, and that's why you have to turn this in, if you struggle with that, then I know there's an issue there. Either I'm not explaining it well to you, or there's a problem understanding the concept. Okay, and we'll get into boxing with some videos, concept of boxing, not the physical boxing. So I'll go through that with you. But as you go through the slideshow, go through the that grid for you. So I'm going to just go through this and explain it. Again, it's sort of a summary for you. Here are key moments in history. It's just a method of giving you some key concepts: community, history, identity, gender, culture. All of these we'll be studying in class. Okay. Flipping the bug. This is something I added late in the game, so it's not part of your grid. Remember the issues that you hear about: civil rights movement, gender roles, Vietnam War, World War II, are events that occurred in history. But what we're going to do in this class is we're going to flip the bird, and that is focus on what caused these events. So it's one thing to study the civil rights movement, that's what you read about, but what causes us to, as a country, to move in the direction of dealing with civil rights? What part of our culture, part of our history, brings about the unequal treatment of groups of people in our society? The Vietnam War. We can study the Vietnam War, that's above the surface, but what brought us into fighting that war? That's what we'll be dealing with. That's what's flipping the bird. It's looking at the story that brings about an historical event. Remember that. What factors, what dynamic forces bring about an event in history that rises to the level of being historic? And why do we study it? We also, this slide that you have, you can't open up the story of my life and just go to page 738 and think you know me. Same thing with historical events. We can't simply open up chapter 22 of, let's say, the Watergate scandal with President Nixon, or the 9/11 attack on the United States, and not know what happened before these events, and then what happened as a result of these events. So we'll look at the Vietnam War, but what brought about the Vietnam War? The fear of communism, globalism, the need to control certain territory and geography points of the world, and what has happened since the Vietnam War. Okay. Here's some of the key definitions. A series of short, continuous stories, history defined, that woven together brings an insight into the human experience. You can apply this to yourself. You can, if I ask you, how was your weekend? What you would do is think about from Friday to Monday, and you would think about the different parts of your weekend. And you'd tell me that story. You'd weave together. Well, I did on Friday, then I did some things on Saturday, and I got a picture to show you. Here's a couple pictures I took, apple picking. That's how you're weaving together a story, to tell me how you did on a weekend. You apply that to history. You pull those stories together, you weave them together, and you get the tapestry of an experience. Historical evidence. How do you tell the story? With the use of historical evidence. Pictures, photos, conversations, artifacts, senses, touch, conversation, interviewing somebody, sound, art, dance. They're all part of telling the story that, woven together, gives you a history. So that works. Some examples are art. Here's a Civil War picture. An artifact, an object, an old typewriter, each tell a story. Then I ask you to listen to two videos, two songs. One is of 1967, listen to the words closely. Tells you about the time and the culture of the 1960s. The other is another video of 2017, tells you what's going on in the 21st century. What I'm asking you to do is compare the two and try to appreciate what you can learn from each era just listening to music, looking at videos and pictures that are in both these videos. Okay, we're going to use a lot of music and videos and pictures to tell the historical story. I share this video of how world religion has spread around the world. You have Islamic dominance in the Eastern Hemisphere. You have Christian dominance in Europe, as you do in the Western Hemisphere. How does that set us up for the 21st century? Here's some key terms. I analyze, that is simply think. You analyze things, you think about something. You go out to dinner and you look at a menu and you analyze the menu. You think about it, okay? You look at it through your lens, your perceptual lens. So you look at a cheeseburger, and if you like cheeseburgers, that's delicious to you. That's your lens, that you're looking at a cheeseburger. A vegetarian could look at a cheeseburger and say, I'll never eat that. Same cheeseburger, different lens that you're looking at, different reaction to it. So you do that in politics, you do that in everything that you do in life. You look at an object, listen to music, watch a TV show, eat something, It all is molded by your lens, by your perception. The analysis plus the perception ends up in your interpretation. I'm going to order a cheeseburger. I like cheeseburgers. Conclusion, I'm going to get that cheeseburger. Cheeseburger, my lens is I'm a vegetarian. My interpretation, I'm not going to have that cheeseburger. Okay? And then synthesis. You pull in all the information together. It's a fancy word for pulling it all together. So let's say you're going to buy a car. You like the color. You like the price. You like the style. You like the gas mileage. You can afford it. The finances all work together. You've analyzed it. You weave it together, you synthesize it, and then you come up with a conclusion. Okay? The concept of boxing is you take a piece of historical evidence, such as a picture or a video, and you zero in on the picture, on a little piece of the picture. You zero in on something such as, in this picture here, you've got women of the 1920s, you zero in on the fashion. You zero in on cars, how that's changed the culture. That's called your boxing, that you're focusing in on, you're analyzing a picture and what it tells you about a period of time. You can do the same thing in videos. And I've got two for you. Sometimes you box things to identify them, sometimes you box things out. In this video here, it's a Chrome commercial. Chrome commercial highlighting technology of the 21st century, but it's done through a Lady Gaga song. But the purpose of this is you box out Lady Gaga and the music, you focus on the historical background that tells you the story about culture of the 21st century, the technology of the 21st century. You have this, I've sent this all to you. Hopefully this explanation helps. Go through your organizer, and I think you'll be in pretty good shape. That's what we covered during this week. Next week we're going to cover, let me show you what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the foundation of the 20th century. We start off in 1865 after the Civil War. We jump to the 1900s and how our country developed during the 20th century, and that kicks us off into the events of the 20th century. Okay? Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully this was helpful. give me your feedback as to whether or not it was, how I can improve upon it, and be happy to do so. Have a nice weekend, everybody. See you next week.